Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up in the above. Preview for Season 14 Episode 10 of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Set to air Tuesday, February 4. Kyle Richards and Mauricio Umansky sit down for a mid-separation heart-to-heart, though the conversation starts off simple enough. With Kyle inquiring about Mauricio's new living space, it quickly brings up some big emotions for the mother of FO. Is your condo coming together? She asks. Yeah. It's pretty together. It's coming, I mean, as together as I'm going to get it more. Responds. My refrigerator is, I've got eggs. What I do is I eat a lot of soups, like canned soups. And amused Kyle asks. Yeah. I just throw them in little tomato whatever he adds. How is it living at the house with the girls? Naturally, the conversation swapping from canned soup to living in a house without half of her family throws Kyle for a loop. I mean, it's quiet. Sometimes, she says as her eyes start to well up. You're in a new place, and it feels new and different. I'm in our home. I'm there with in the place where everybody was. It just feels different. After Kyle says a piece, she shrugs and Mauricio goes in for a hug, holding her tight and giving her a little kiss on the back of her head. Sorry, says Kyle after they pulled away, and she wipes her eyes. It's so he responds. No, Kyle and Mauricio aren't divorced, though they announced their split in October 2023. Neither of them have taken the steps to make it legal. During a December 2024 Watch What Happens Live with Andy K appearance, Kyle discussed why the papers haven't been filed. We're good friends and we get along really well. I don't know, we just live separate lives, and it just hasn't come up yet, she said. When the time comes, we will address it. Another reason Kyle seemed not psyched to have to talk about it. It's hard, and it's not something either one of us feel comfortable initiating. We just kind of let it go and just really good friends. And we care about each other and we get along, so it's like it is what it is right now, she added. To see more of Kyle and Mauricio and how this conversation concludes, tune into Rove on Tuesday, February 10. Episodes stream Tuesdays at 8/7 and are available to stream the next day on Peacock. Kyle Richards has been through her fair share of drama, but this time the turmoil isn't just playing out in front of Bravo's cameras. It's unraveling in her heart and home. On a recent episode of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Kyle broke down in a way that fans had never seen before. A long-standing marriage to Mauricio Umansky, once thought to be rock solid, now seems to be crumbling beneath the weight of unresolved issues, emotional distance, and the kind of pain that doesn't just sting but lingers. The scene was raw, real, and unlike anything we've witnessed from Kyle before. Sitting across from Mauricio in their sprawling Ensign home, the tension was thick. Her eyes, usually alike with energy and mischief, were glassy with unshed tears as she struggled to find the right words. She finally let the truth slip. It just feels different. For years, Kyle and Mauricio were the gold standard of Bravo marriages. Unlike so many of their castmates who fell victim to the housewives' curse, they had seemingly defied the odds. Their marriage was built on love, laughter, and a partnership that spanned both personal and professional ventures. Fans had watched Mauricio build the agency into a luxury real estate empire while Kyle flourished in her acting and business endeavors. There were the couple everyone rooted for, but something shifted, something that neither Kyle nor Mauricio could ignore any longer. Kyle admitted in confessional that she had been feeling a growing disconnect. We used to be on the same page about everything, she whispered, her voice cracking under the weight of her confession. Now I feel like I'm talking, but he's not hearing me, and maybe I'm not hearing him either. Mauricio, usually the calm and collected rock of the relationship, looked visibly shaken. He reached for her hand, but she hesitated before letting him touch her. It was a small moment, but it spoke volumes. Kyle, I love you. That hasn't changed, he insisted, but Kyle shook her head, fresh tears spilling over But everything else, as she said, simply rumors had been stirring for months that trouble was brewing in their marriage. Whispers of long nights apart, cryptic social media posts, and a couple spending more time in separate circles had fueled speculation that the once unbreakable duo was on shaky ground. The couple had publicly denied any serious issues, brushing off speculation with statements of reassurance, but behind closed doors, reality was proving to be more complex. Kyle, never one to shy away from confrontation, finally let her walls down in a way that even her closest friends had rarely seen. "I don't know when it started," she admitted, "but I feel like I'm standing in the middle of our life, looking around, and everything feels unfamiliar." Mauricio, ever the problem solver, wanted a solution. "We can fix this," he pleaded. "We always do." But Kyle wasn't so sure. "I used to believe that she moment. I really did." For Bravo fans, this was a devastating moment. Kyle and Mauricio's love story was a cornerstone of Rob B8. Watching it unravel in real time was like witnessing the fall of something sacred. The reality of long-term relationships is that they evolve, shift, and sometimes break, and for Kyle the realization that love alone might not be enough was a heartbreaking one. Her castmates had noticed the shift. Dor Kemsley, one of Kyle's closest friends, had voiced her concerns earlier in the season. "Kyle just isn't herself," she confided in Sutton Strike. "She's different this year." Sutton, never want to shy away from blunt honesty, had nodded. "Knowingly, love changes," she said, "and sometimes it disappears." Kyle wasn't ready to admit defeat just yet, but she was undeniably at a crossroads. "I don't want to resent you," she told Mauricio, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't want to wake up one day and feel like I stayed because it was easier than leaving." Mauricio's silence was deafening. While it's unclear what the future holds for Kyle and Mauricio, one thing is certain: this chapter of their marriage is one that will define them, whether they find their way back to each other or choose separate paths. Their love story is forever etched into Bravo history. As the episode ended, Kyle wiped her tears and took a deep breath. The weight of the moment was heavy, but so was the realization that sometimes even the strongest foundations can crack, and when they do, you're left with a choice: rebuild or walk away. Kyle wasn't sure which part she'd take yet, but one thing was certain: nothing would ever feel the same again. Kyle Richards had been through a lot in her years on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, but nothing quite prepared her for the moment she found herself breaking down in front of Mauricio Yansky, the man she had loved for nearly 3 decades. The cameras had captured countless fights, reconciliations, and heartfelt conversations between the two over the years, but this time something about it felt different. Something about it felt final. The air in the room was thick with unspoken words. Kyle sat on the couch, a hands trembling as she wiped away a tear before it had the chance to fall. Mauricio sat across from her, leaning forward, his hands clasped together, his expression unreadable. "I don't even know where to start," Kyle finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. She had always been strong, always been the one to hold it together, but the cracks were now too wide to ignore. I don't feel like we're in the same place anymore." Mauricio let out a heavy sigh, running a hand through his salt and pepper hair. "Kyle, I don't understand. We've been through so much. Why does this time feel so different to you?" And there, it was that word, different. It had been haunting Kyle for months. Their marriage had always had its ups and downs, but something had shifted. There were no explosive fights, no dramatic betrayals that she could point to as the breaking point. Instead, it was a slow unraveling, a distance that had crept in and made itself at home between them. Kyle had always prided herself on being Mauricio's biggest supporter. She had stood by him as he built the agency, watched him transform from a hardworking real estate agent into one of the most powerful figures in the luxury real estate world. She had raised their daughters, been the rock that kept their family together, and played the role of the devoted wife. But somewhere along the way, she had lost sight of herself. "I don't even know who I am anymore," Kyle admitted, her voice cracking. "For so long, I've been Kyle and Mauricio. It's like I don't know what Kyle on her own looks like. Kyle shook her head. Are we? Because lately it feels like we're just two people who share a house, not alive.